the New England Patriots, 6 games into the 2025 season, matched their win total for both the 2023 and 2024 seasons. And you're right to point out, the same way that I point out, the Pats turned the ball over 6 times against Pittsburgh, even though the stat sheet only says 5 because they turned it over on downs once. You're correct to point out, Andy, that in 2024, yes, it says they won 4 games. They really only won 3.
Yep.
I mean, because they shouldn't have won that final game. And any competent coach or anybody within their wits would have found a way to out-terrible Buffalo in a game that would have secured you the first overall draft pick. Be that as it may, as they like to say in the industry, the fact that the Patriots are 4-2, let's calibrate like, they probably should have come out of September 3-1. Everybody expected them to lose to Buffalo, and the hopes were that they would beat New Orleans. So for anybody that has this team at around near 500 or into double-digit wins territory, I know there's 11 games to go, and I don't want to start, planning duck boat parades or clearing out playoff paths and weekend schedules in January. Right now, the Pats are actually on a very impressive track, holding on for the win today, and more importantly, developing the kind of confidence you need to stack dubs in the league. It's a win on the road, and it's a win when expectations were heightened significantly following the huge upset last Sunday night in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging the path. There's a path to the postseason for this team. I know it's only October.
Are we recording this, Zach? I just want to make sure. Is this for posterity? We have this?
We do have this, yes.
Okay, we have this. Okay. All right,
I can only be honest. I've gotten very annoyed in past Novembers when people were talking about paths for a football team that I thought had no shot of getting to or competing in the postseason. This is a team that has a shot. They should get better. As you know, Mike Vrabel had a snarky answer to Dan Roach's question, like how big is it for a young football team to go on the road down here and leave with a win? And he's like, well, it's better than an old football team leaving with a loss. Like, this is a young football team that just got a nice win.
That was kind of a great answer, I got to be honest.
It was. And like, he doesn't want to get too high. And we've talked about this. I think the way Mike Vrabel treats Drake May gives you an insight. He doesn't give him game balls. He doesn't, throw bouquets his way all that often. Why? Because I think he knows the kid can be great, and he wants him to earn it. And he wants to kind of reserve the real high praise for when he deserves it. I think he's starting to feel that way about his football team. I think you're going to see him start to be a little bit more overly critical. Like, he was talking about different things he'll coach from this game, and that it's good that his players leave this game saying, yeah, but we could have done this, we should have done this could have been better. When they all are doing that, and instead of looking to celebrate minor victories along the way, they're looking at a bigger picture down the road, I think that's a really good sign, and I think they're right. They should. That's what I'm going to do. I think this is a team that should now compete for a playoff spot. My one concern is the concern that Ted Johnson has had all along, as he has sort of ebbed and flowed with his positivity. Mm-hmm. We had some scares today. Marcus Jones, Harold Landry. Like, there were guys that were down that you're like, oh, yeah, they can't. They need him to get up.
Carlton Davis once again. I think it's almost not a Patriots game in 2025 without Carlton Davis having an injury scare.
And I thought Harold Landry was done for the year. When I saw the video of his leg, ankle, knee bending in a weird way sideways, I was like, oh, he's toast. He goes.
I thought he was donezo.
And I think they said he was in there for like 6 minutes. They wanted to put a brace on him. He's like, nope, I'm going to go back out there and play. And Zach Core was like, cool, let's go do this. That's my one thing, though. You even got a scare pregame when there was an illness for Milton Williams. I do think, like so many teams, and this doesn't make them unique, but I think they are thinner than the average NFL team, and they can't afford to have any key injuries.
We expressed in the preseason that one of our key concerns about this team was depth, especially after going to some of the preseason some of the training camp practices, the joint practices as well. Hey, the starters look really good. Hey, I think they got some dudes out there. Oh, there's no dudes behind the dudes. So if dude number 1 gets hurt, dude number 2, who's supposed to take his spot, ain't that great. And there are not a lot of other positions where, let's say, for example, Marcus Jones, who is your number 1 slot and or nickel cornerback, yeah, he can bump to the outside if you need him to, because this guy is blossoming into a legit NFL, I'm not going to say star, but a damn good football player in front of our eyes in his 4th season in the NFL. He's excellent. He is really,
he also
really
plays
good.
Too physical for his size sometimes, in my opinion, and that's going to make it harder and harder. The more hits you take, the more times you are making a great play. He made that great play. Then he ends up perfectly parallel to the ground and slams to the ground. The more he does that, the more he's taking on a receiver on the sideline with a shoulder instead of kind of diving at his legs that like others do, the more jeopardy he puts himself in. And he's in a list of players like, you don't have a backup for him. When it comes to slot corner and punt return, you don't have a backup. You don't have a backup for him. Harold Landry, you don't have enough pass rushers, edge guys as it is. If you lose Harold Landry,
was inactive again today. What is going on with him?
I don't know, but he's just not that good. I've given up on him.
But he still is somebody who can rush the passer as well.
You sure about that? He can line up in that position, and you can tell him what you want him to do.
Okay, he looks like he should be really good at doing that job.
Yes, he does. I'm just not sure he ever really pays off. Save for that one stupid game a year ago where he had 3.5 sacks, or whatever the hell it was. The guy's been on a freaking milk carton for like a year and a half now. I've given up on him. Which, to be fair, I gave up on Pop Douglas, and he made a couple big plays today. The history won't show all of them.
150 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. BT Dubs, what was up with the reemergence of Pop Douglas today? How come? Was it just that the Saints listened to the Six Rings Postgame Show and WEEI Afternoons and said, "Oh, this guy stinks." Even the hosts up there gave up on him. We don't have to cover him. We're not going to worry about this little guy.
Well, it was weird, and so the game plan. We were told about the Saints. They dink and dunk on offense, and they try to force you into dinking and dunking on defense. And the game started with them hitting a 53-yard pass play over Kyle Duggar, and then the game started for the Patriots hitting a bomb to Pop Douglas. And I'm like, none of this played out the way anyone said it would. I mean, I guess, you got to go counter to your scouting reports and try to, change things up, be different. But the game really played out quite differently in a lot of ways than I expected it to. But, yeah, I don't know. Pop Douglas, if he can be a playmaker, and I told you all along, part of the reason I thought he could be so good was that he did have more big play ability than some of the traditional Patriot slot
Maybe
guys.
they were using him incorrectly, and maybe part of this.
Or maybe it's one game, and maybe it's because you got a great quarterback who kind of moved around.
He's got an arm, he can roam, and he can run and gun and sling it and fling it. And also, maybe as Charles Davis and Spiro Detus pointed out during the broadcast, the safety play from the Saints was nothing you would want to write home about or show at Safety Training Academy. Like, don't tell your son to watch tape of the Saints' defensive effort today.
No, and I also won't tell him to watch Kyle Duggar trying to cover Chris Olave on that first play. But then I'm like, hey, Zach Core, hardcore, love you, mean it. But why is Kyle Duggar lined up one-on-one on the outside with Chris Olave? I don't think I like that matchup.
Best receiver.
Yeah, that doesn't seem. And then on the very next play, you had their tight end one-on-one with Christian Gonzalez. I'm like, how come things are seemingly inverted? How about we go ahead and on Olave?
I'm expecting a big running day with some short, concise passes to chew clock and eat up an inferior opponent. Instead, I got the Patriots barely possessing the ball. It felt like, I don't know what the ultimate time of possession was. We can effort that from stats research and beyond. But they couldn't hold on to the ball for any long, sustained drives. Everything was a long pass to the 6-point house today. I thought the
which
run
I'll
game
take
would get going.
because Drake May suddenly is throwing perfect passes when the ball travels more than like 15 yards.
He's lethal, exactly.
Holy crapoli.
And then meanwhile, I thought the Saints were just going to do like a little run here, a little run there, but you can't really run against the Pats. They didn't try to expose the deeper part of the Patriots secondary. There were not a lot of long shots and bombs from the Saints, but they can move the ball in a lot of different ways. I was impressed with the variety of play calls from first-year head coach Kellen Moore, and also Spencer Rattler. Guy doesn't suck.
No, he does not suck, and he took care of the football. There were a couple times I thought he was in position. There was even one. Was it right at the end of the second quarter, maybe? I thought for sure he was going to try to do the Mac Jones thing and throw it across the field, only this time from left to right. And he, started to pump and turn, and then he was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. I'll just go down here. He's taking care of the football, and that's part of why they're giving themselves a chance to win. A bad team usually turns the ball over a lot. They usually kind of go hand in hand, and they have a bad record. But I don't think they're quite as bad as their record. And when they just throw the ball to Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara short, they got a chance to move the ball down the field, to matriculate down the field with little 6, 7, 8 yard passes. I'm starting to see, we talked about it last week, I'm starting to see why all their guys average less than 10 yards a catch. Chris Olave is catching like swing passes out of the backfield.
And the dude was Mr. Deep Pass Threat in the days of Justin Fields and Olave at Ohio State, and now all of a sudden he's a possession receiver.
He's a possession receiver. He also had a strange catch. He ran a crosser. Then he looked like a dog, just hopped up in the air for no reason. I don't know if he saw a ghost, thought somebody was diving at his legs, but strange catch. But no, they have some talent on that side of the ball. But you did what you're supposed to do. You went to their house, jumped on them, right? Made some plays early. I'm a little disappointed you couldn't, this is where we get to the disappointment side of things. I'm a little disappointed Drake May said it there. The defense kind of helped us out in the second half because you couldn't keep it going. You couldn't put them away. But I'll take the victory. As Dan Roach said, a young team leaving New Orleans with a nice road victory where they made some mistakes. There's some things they can clean up, but 4-2. 3 wins in a row, and, first couple weeks, 3-week span, you lose to the Raiders and you lose to the Steelers, and everybody's like, oh, are we needing to adjust our win predictions downward? Is this team not as good as we thought they were? Since then, they've turned a corner, and they're going in the right direction, and the win totals, we mentioned it, even in Vegas, the win totals are being adjusted upwards, in part to their success, but also in part to, I think, people looking ahead on the schedule like, Titans? Kind of like the Patriots in that one. Like there's
Browns.
Browns,
that's going to be a challenge.
I'm intrigued by that Browns game. I'm intrigued by that defense going up against this offense, this young offensive line. There's still some room for concerns there, and I think you'll have to play that one a little tighter. I'm not sure you're going to find yourself hitting a lot of 50-yard passes in that one the way you're hitting a lot of 50-yard passes in this one. Some of them even counted.
The ones that counted and weren't called back. 617-779-7937. We see your calls lining up. We will get to you on the other side. We have to take our first break. When we come back, we'll get into some of the pregame notes and expectations that we had heading into this game as well. And we'll play a little game later on in this edition of the Six Rings Postgame Show of Better Than Expected, As Expected, or Less Than Expected. It'll involve the Patriots. It'll involve the Saints. It'll involve players. It'll involve schemes. It'll involve units. You name it, we'll discuss it. We'll hopefully hear from Megan Ottolini and our pal Ted Johnson from WEI Afternoons in the show. We'll go around the league. We'll have the thumbs up, thumbs down, and a quick preview of next week's game, which is, of course, against the Tennessee Titans. It'll be a reunion, revenge, vendetta match for Mike Vrabel in Nashville. But first, we still have to keep processing this 25-19 win against the Saints.